Prompt lifecycle is really important if you're seriously considering building on Salesforce and AI. What does it take to write really good prompts, and how can you think about it more holistically? So here goes. When you think about a prompt lifecycle, you almost always want to start with what's the purpose? What are the compelling use cases? What's the expected outcome? This is the heart of it. I cannot tell you if there is anything more important in the entire prompt lifecycle than the very purpose of it, the why. You want to establish a good ROI. You want to establish realistic scenarios that solve a legitimate pain point for your organization. Once you have identified something that you can do, the next step is to create the prompt itself. And the idea here is to think about it broadly and holistically in terms of the nuances of various AI models. What kind of format are you expecting the outcome to be in? Do you need grounding rules for ethical biases, for toxicity, for a lot of other things? You also want to think about prompts in terms of, is it for analysis? Is it then expecting to do some updates? And how would that fit into this? As you move further from that, you come to the other really important aspect, which is the data context itself. What fields and what object would I want to use with this prompt? What's the relevant information from a business standpoint? These three areas, if you notice, actually require significantly more understanding of the business process than they do of the development or technology aspects. Sure, for creating prompt, you need to understand a little bit of prompt engineering, but the first and the third step here is predominantly a sharp business analyst or an administrator who actually understands how Salesforce is getting used, what objects are storing what information, what specific fields are serving what purpose from a business point of view. And once you do that, you also want to configure security, masking, things like that, to make sure that information that's being sent to an AI model is appropriately secured and masked. Again, we do a lot of those things at GPT-5, but just purely from a life cycle of a prompt perspective, those are things to think about. The next aspect of that is to do test and optimization. Now, typically, just the art of writing prompt is so much of back and forth. It takes so much of iterations that you have to do it consistently. In addition, different AI models have different nuances. GPT-5 supports a wide variety of AI models, so you can get Anthropic Claude or OpenAI on AWS, on Azure, on Text on Google, or whatever else. When you think of different AI models, you want to think of it in terms of the results you're getting, so do a lot of trial and error. And you also want to think of it in terms of the cost itself. How much does it cost every time you're hitting that AI model? And based on that, you may tweak your data and your prompt. So there is a lot of iteration in these steps that you would do. And it is a bit of an art and science. But once you've done that, the next idea is to publish it for users and ensure that appropriate user profiles have it. You can also lock down your prompts by record type and catalog, at least with GPT-5. That's the design that we built in it. And finally, you want to track its ROI and usage. How often are these prompts getting used? What's the kind of feedback you're getting from your end users? Which of your users are really finding them useful and they serve as an advocate or a champion for this cause? What are your most popular prompts? So much of that usage and ROI tracking is woefully missing with a lot of tools today. At GPT-5, we built all of it. The point here is, when you think of writing prompts, people very narrowly think about, oh, here's a prompt, it'll do a bunch of things. But if you're really thinking of it from an AI ops perspective, from a productionalization perspective, you want to think very broadly about all of these things to have successful AI prompt deployed in your Salesforce org and really drive business value. That's pretty much what you want to do, because that way you can continually deliver AI releases faster with lower maintenance and zero code, and help make your end user life easier and better. And then you track all of this and you iterate it back on this stuff, continually optimize, identify those gaps, innovate on them. We have some customers who have written prompts and they are now on their 30th or 50th iteration because they've constantly done that. And we actually built version control for prompts specifically to address things like this. So hopefully this is useful. And if you're interested, we are doing a webinar, which you can join. I'll add some information about it. Let me know if you have any questions.